Hi, my name is Dave Roberts. I'm with urbanfishinghq.com for headquarters, urbanfishingheadquarters.com. Today I'm here to show you how to properly set up a baitcaster. I also work at Bass Pro Shops in Mesa, Arizona in the fishing department. And every day when someone comes into the fishing department and they want to buy their first bait casting reel, they're really sort of anxious about the fact that they've always heard that baitcasters are going to be notorious for getting backlashes. Well, there's ways to prevent that, and the newer baitcasters of today have very sophisticated braking systems that help eliminate that problem and make the joy of learning how to use a baitcaster, which is more accurate than using a spinning reel in most cases, make it a pleasant experience where you're not going to get these backlashes. And I'm going to show you how to do that. This particular reel is our Pro Qualifier tournament model. And this particular model has dual braking system. And a lot of the new reels at Bass Pro Shops have a dual braking system. And this dual braking system is made up of pins and it's made up of magnets as a secondary source for braking. And why do you need both of these? Well, in this design, you're going to have, if you think about it, when you're casting a baitcaster, when you really put some pop on the rod tip, you've got a lot of velocity of the baitcaster right out of the bandbox, coming right out of the end of the rod tip. You're going to have a great deal of velocity, and the reel has to go from a dead stop to this high velocity instantly. And therefore, if you don't have a brake set on that so that the reel doesn't overspin, you're going to get, that's what creates the backlash. So they've designed in this a set of pins. There are 6 pins inside, and I'm going to show those to you in a second. That takes care of the front part of the cast. But as the cast goes through the air and starts losing velocity as it's going closer to the target, as it's losing velocity, it's still spinning, theoretically, at the speed that you had it set for when it came right out of the end of the rod tip. If it continued at that speed, it would overspin, thus creating another backlash. So what we've designed in this particular reel is a set of magnets, and these magnets control the back end of the cast as the reel or as the bait is slowing down and starting to enter the water. These magnets come into play and slow the reel down so that you can gently feather the reel right before it goes into the water. And that's going to eliminate a backlash for you. So the way you adjust these, let me set this one back. If you notice on this particular model, there's this little pin on the side right here. To open up the side of the plate here, to release that, this pin is in place. So to release it, you pull out. It's on a spring. You can see that it's moving in and out here. You pull back on that, and lift the case upward, and it removes the outside of the case. There are six pins inside, and you notice that they're in a configuration that's like a clock. You got 12, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and back around to 12. If you're going to set the brakes, you need to set them so that they're spaced evenly, so that there's even pressure when the brakes go out and apply force against the outside of the reel, that there's going to be even pressure. And so if you're going to set brakes, you need to set either 2, 3, 4, or all of them on. So let's assume that you're a beginning baitcaster. If you're an experienced baitcaster, you might want to have 2 set. You never want to have just 1 pin on, because that throws the reel off balance. You want to have at least 2, so you would set, if you were an experienced baitcaster, you would set 2 pins. One here at the 12 o'clock position, one here directly below it at a 6 o'clock position. But if you're a beginning baitcaster, you're going to want to set either 3 or 4 pins. So let's set it to start with for 3 pins, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to set this for 12 o'clock, we're going to set it for 4 o'clock, and we're going to set it for 8 o'clock on here. And you do that by just pushing down, and these pins are on springs, and when you push down, you'll feel a little snap, and they snap into the open position so that they can engage the outside of the spool. So that takes care of the beginning of your cast. Now let's talk about the backside of your cast. Your backside of your cast is handled by the magnets, and this is what the magnets look like. And on the outside there's a dial, and the dial goes from 0 to 10 on this reel. If you have it at 0, that means that the magnets are going to be the farthest away from the spool and are going to not apply any braking force whatsoever. If you have it set more towards 10, the closer you put it towards 10, the closer it moves these magnets to the spool, and the more the effect the magnets have on slowing the spool down. So let's put this back together, and I'll show you how to adjust this particular piece. So to put it back on, you start it back in this position here, get it onto the spool, like so, pull out the pin, and then slide it back down. You can see now that the side cover is back on. Now right now, it's let's set this here so that I can show you that it's set now on 0. So caster, you might want to set this over, maybe set the brakes over at around 5 on the spool. But if you're a beginner baitcaster and you want more pressure on the spool, then you might want to turn around and set this somewhere between 8 and 9. And that's going to take care of the front part of the cast, the back part of the cast. Now the final thing that you need to do in order to set your baitcaster up so that it won't backlash is you need to adjust for the bait that you have on your rod. I've set up here. This is my left-handed version of the same basic reel. And on the side here, you'll notice that you have a spool tension knob. It's on the left side on a left-handed retrieve, and it's on the right side based on a right-handed retrieve. So, the final adjustment comes when you adjust for the bait you have. Now right now I've got a jig head on it. I think it's probably about half or 3/4 ounce jig head, just looking at it. I've got a Gary Yamamoto hula grub on it that I've been successful in throwing here in the Arizona lakes here. And what you do to adjust that is I've tightened this down to where when you press the release on your baitcaster, it's not going to move. Now, to adjust for the weight of the lure that you have, your final adjustment on a baitcaster, start with this engaged in the on position like you were going to make a cast. Leave your finger off the spool and start loosening this knob, and as I loosen it, you will see this lure start to fall. I've got it, hold your rod at about the 10 o'clock position, 10 or 11 o'clock position, with the bait hanging down from the rod tip. Approximately, I've got it 6 or 8 inches below, and then start to unloosen the knob. And as you unloosen this knob here, hang on, you're going to see it's going to start falling. Now see how gently that fell? I loosened it to the point to where it's gently falling. And when it stops, it's not going to allow for a backlash to come in. This is the final adjustment on a baitcaster. Now this lure is ready to cast. You want it to fall approximately at this speed so that it just gently falls down. It could go perhaps maybe even a little faster than that. Here, I'll slow it down. There, it's perfect. So that's the position, that's the speed of which you want your lure to fall. That's all it takes to set up a baitcaster. You're setting up your front part of your cast, the back part of your cast, and you're making the final adjustment with the weight of your lure. Now if you change your lure weight and you put on something either heavier or you put on something lighter, you're going to need to make this final adjustment with the tensioner knob here to that bait. Final thing is you want to, as the bait is entering the water when you cast it, you want to gently feather the spool to a stop right as it's hitting the water. If you do that, you'll never have a backlash. So this is Dave Roberts at Urban Fishing HQ saying goodbye.